when we're down there, chasing the ball on our backs and our receivers get up and they see us, like, that really juices them, lets them know that, we're here, like, let's go, like, let's keep doing this thing. So it's fun.
Here come the Irish. What a run! Touchdown! Play of the year for the Irish.
Welcome to the Indy on NBC podcast. I'm your host, Corey Robinson, joined by the one and only Jason Garrett this week. Look, I do want to talk about Central Michigan briefly. Big win, but Ohio State. Whoa, that's a big game coming up. So what were your big takeaways against that for that win against Central Michigan?
Well, again, Notre Dame has done a good job against some of these lesser opponents this year. The Navy game, the Tennessee State game, and the Central Michigan game, they handled their business. And I think those are lessons learned from a couple of games they had last year that they should have won. They should have beaten Marshall. They should have beaten Stanford, and they just tripped up. And I think the mentality of these guys is to learn from those experiences, and they did that. Central Michigan did a good job in the game. They kept it close in the first half, but then Notre Dame kind of took over and did what they needed to do in the second half. So it's an easy trap game. Hey, Ohio State next week, Central Michigan, we're way better than those guys. I thought they handled their business the right way.
There were times, too, this season where I'm seeing, like, Georgia hanging around with a team at halftime and then taking it off, and Alabama hanging around with the team at halftime, taking off. And I'm curious, like, 21-14 at half, Notre Dame, why is that the case? We see these elite teams, top 10 teams kind of hanging around with lesser opponents at halftime.
Corey, that's a big macro discussion about college sports these days. When you start talking about transfer portal and NIL and the movement that's going on in college football, and you see a lot of guys on Central Michigan's roster who maybe played at a bigger school than they came to Central Michigan. And I think in a lot of ways it's going to start leveling the playing field where student athletes are able to leave one place and go somewhere else and then play. And I think it's going to allow teams to build programs more quickly. The best example, obviously, is going on out there with Deion Sanders in Boulder. You can build teams. There's free agency out there. And I think, one of the things that players value is the opportunity to play. And when they're not getting a chance to play at some of the bigger schools, hey, let me go here and play. And, so many of these guys have aspirations to play in the NFL, and they need to have tape. And so I think this might be over time something that levels the playing field out a little bit more. And I think we've seen some of that early on in the season.
Absolutely fascinating, because that is something to watch. Okay, so now everyone wants to know Ohio State. I've circled this game. I hate to say it, Coach, but I'm going to confess. I circled this game. I can't wait to see how it plays out under the lights. Number 6, Ohio State. What are you looking forward to most as the key differentiator in this game this weekend?
I think the biggest thing for a team like Notre Dame is to be able to handle the ups and downs of a game like this. Ohio State's good. They got good players. They got good players on offense and good players on defense, and they're going to drive the ball and score points, and they're going to make stops on defense. So, how does Notre Dame handle it? And, 3 of the 4 opponents in the early part of the season, Notre Dame has been better than. And so they've been able to just go and play and do their thing, and, not many obstacles along the way. They're going to be obstacles throughout this game. And I do think they have senior leadership, particularly on the defensive side, that's going to allow them to absorb that and keep playing. And the same thing on the offensive side, they're going to get stopped. It's not going to be quite so easy for Sam Hartman this week as it's been in a lot of these games. But I do think they're made of the right stuff, and I do think they'll respond the right way. That will be the key to the game, really, for both sides.
I know you're a big history buff. This is my last question for you. Two more. Sorry, I apologize. I know you're a big history buff. I was looking at the great rivalries between Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin. Like these amazing wide receiver cornerback battles. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ben Morrison. I mean, what kind of battle are you expecting to see on Saturday between these two elite players?
It's going to be fun. This Marvin Harrison Jr. is something else. I mean, obviously his dad is one of the all-time great receivers in the NFL, but his dad was probably 6 feet tall and maybe 185, and he was an elite route runner. I mean, you've never seen a guy, Corey, run routes like this. I mean, it was incredible how quickly he could push a defender off and then get in and out of a break and create separation. So he and Peyton Manning, one of the great duos in the history of the league, but his son got a lot of those genes, and his son is bigger and faster than his dad. So, if you think about how he's grown up and how his dad, kind of taught him the game of football and the intricacies of route running and how to get open. And then you add all that ability to it. This is a special player. And, a lot of the draft guys, are probably getting their mock drafts together right now. There's no doubt that he's going to be in the top of many of those lists. I think he's an elite guy, but Notre Dame has a special corner in Benjamin Morrison. We've seen him over the last year and a half just grow by leaps and bounds, and I think he has a unique ability to cover guys in man-to-man coverage, and also at the point of the catch, he has so much poise. And typically, young corners, when the ball's getting there, sometimes they panic. You see no panic in him. So there's no doubt that Ohio State's going to feed the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. And I got to believe that Al Golden and the defensive staff are going to give Benjamin Morrison many chances to go guard him. And like you said, it's must-see TV.
Last question. You talk about this offensive line, defensive line matchup. Notre Dame has Joe Alt, Blake Fisher. What do you think are going to be the biggest challenges for this offensive line that Notre Dame going into this weekend?
Yeah, they're going to face a lot better players than they faced up to this point. Ohio State, these guys are elite. We've seen Jean-Baptiste for Notre Dame do some really good things so far. He was a backup player at Ohio State. I mean, he was a key reserve. So they're loaded with talent there. They're going to have a lot of guys, and it's not going to be quite so easy for Notre Dame to control the line of scrimmage as it has been for most of this year. Having said that, I do think they're a really physical group, and they like to run the football, and they like to give the ball to Audric Estime. And I think that's going to be a key to the game to settle this defensive front down a little bit. And, you run it, then those hard play action passes and those deep shots, that's when they come alive. And we've seen it for the first month. Nobody throws the deep ball like Sam Hartman does. I mean, it's amazing how accurate he is and his ability to make those plays down the field. So he's got a good group of receivers to throw it to. It's going to be a fun matchup.
Thanks for framing this perfectly, because we got Blake Fisher coming up in the podcast. I'm going to talk to him about some of this week's performance and, of course, his season and his journey up to this point. So thank you so much, Coach. Now on to Blake Fisher. And now it is my distinct pleasure to welcome in Blake to the podcast. Blake, I want to start with your why and your fight, because I always think it's so interesting when you talk about people's motivations for playing at this level. It's so hard to show up every single day and get better over time. What is your motivation for playing this game of football?
Yeah, well, my why is overall like my sister and my family. But my biggest thing is just my sister. When I was younger, she a virus attacked her heart. So when I was like 7, she was like 10. The fight, the virus kind of got the best of her, and she ended up passing away. So, I mean, my whole childhood, I kind of grew up, if you will, a single child or only child. And that was hard on me, just in certain situations where, I would, Christmas time, I would see, people and their brothers and sisters, getting gifts, and Thanksgiving, they're with their families, taking family pictures or sibling pictures. And it's just like, that was hard on me, but it always made me think like, there's a brighter side of this. And, she's looking down on you, and, you have the power to do whatever you want, with her on your side. And if she can fight through anything and fight through what she, battle through, I can do the same. Any adversity that I face, anything I kind of go through, I just think about her and, just kind of, how she, went through every day. Because, my sister, she's going to talk or walk, and that's a lot different than, a lot of people. So for me, just, being very grateful for the opportunities that that come before me that I have.
And how did that lead to your interest in sports medicine? Because I'm telling you, man, I mean, when I look at your major, I'm thinking offensive line, sports medicine. Do you sleep? So how did that lead you into that that field of study?
Yeah, so like my mom is a nurse, and my dad is like part of like health insurance. So I mean, you can kind of see how the two, weigh, each other out. And I've always just been about kind of helping. And sports medicine was kind of like, my passion coming out of high school. I probably say it's more so like sports psych now. Just working with like kind of the mental side of, this thing, because it's really hard, it is. And, people just see us on Saturdays as, just football players that are, doing their job. And if you don't do your job, then, like you're getting criticized. So, just living in the moment, for me, like I said, I love helping people. So that was one of the biggest things on why, I would either go that sports medicine route or that sports psych route.
It's interesting you say that because, I was talking to Howard Cross about this a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, and he was saying, the mental side of being a defensive player coming back from injury and trying to contribute, that he was struggling with that early in his career, and he came over that. When you think about having to perform at this high level at a place like Notre Dame with so many eyes on you, and then you add in sports betting and other things that were, you have random fans with money on you guys, and you're only a teenager in some cases, how do you communicate that to your teammates as you grow older on that team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just all about, just keeping the main thing. I mean, there's a lot of outside noise. There's a lot of, people, pulling for us, and, that want us to, overall win a national championship, let's just say that. But, for us, it's just, taking care of, today, being in the moment. I mean, there's a lot of outside noise, that comes, but if everybody does their job and does it to a really high level, the world be good.
Do you have like a mentor? Because remember when I was there, Dr. Brian Radigan was awesome. He would come in and talk to some of the guys who wanted to be, sports orthopedic surgeons or whatever. Do you have a mentor in that space, a sports psych space?
We do have like people here that we can talk to. But if I'm being honest, like my mentor is probably my pops, my dad. Like about anything I'm just going through, like I just call my dad. It's kind of weird. Like my dad can always tell, like if I'm stressing, if I'm thinking about something, like if I'm off, if he like, he'll be like, I don't want to call you, like I want to FaceTime you, like I want to see your face. Like he's real big on like seeing me, not just hearing me, just because he can't really get, both sides of, is he really good? I can only hear him, like I can't see him. And he's the first person to be like, yeah, like what's up? Like what's going on? Like what you thinking about? Like my mom, like it takes her a minute to, kind of figure it out. But my dad, he's right on top of it.
That's amazing, man. It's amazing to have that kind of family connection that you have. So let's talk about some football. You guys part of an amazing offensive line. Talk about Joe Moore Award. It seems like every single time you guys are on this watch list, you're competing for it.
Yeah.
This specific group, you've been on a few now. What makes this specific O-line so special?
I mean, I would just say by the way that we work together, and Coach Rudolph is a great coach, and he prepares us throughout the week, and the way that he, really keys into the things that defenses do, and the way that we can put ourselves in the positions to properly handle what they do, and you just all five as one. There's been some really good offensive lines. Really good offensive lines in the past that have come through Notre Dame, and not saying that we're better than them or that we're more special. It's more so just following in those footsteps. I mean, you turn on the film, and for us, it's like I want to do that. You've had guys like Ronnie Stanley, Mike McGlinchey, Liam Eichenberg, Rob Hainsey, coming through here, and for guys like Joe I, Zeke Rocco, all of us. It's just about trying to perfect what they did, because they did when they were here play at a really high level.
When you think about the school of offensive linemen, because this is something I've been thinking a lot about. I don't know if you think about this, but how do you surpass what because everyone thinks, okay, this is what I've been given, I want to surpass. Can you surpass what those legends have done before you, guys like Zach, going all the way back to Zach Martin, or can you just kind of, how do you think about maintaining that? Is it trying to build on it, surpass it, keep it the same? Like how do you think about that?
I think it's keeping the things that they kind of built here, and just enhancing it, if that makes sense. So not really changing anything, because I think the foundation that was set, and kind of just the foundation, and kind of the room, and the morale within the offensive line, the togetherness, the family, the brotherhood, the moving in a pack, coming out to practice at the same time, going into meetings at the same time, going to team meeting. Like we do everything together. And I think it was just more so enhancing that, and just, harping on it. Because, I mean, especially when Coach Easton came back last year, some of those things, were not the same. One of those being like run into the ball. You see some of those, legends, and some of those, past guys, they really ran to the ball a lot. And I can't remember what that year was, 2020, 2021. There wasn't a lot of running to the ball. And Coach Easton really harped on that. And that's something that we've kind of inherited, and really took personal now. And you still see it, in our game. And that's just, kind of one of the small things. that, those legends, or you would say those past guys, have done that, we really look at as being, a big thing. Because, when we're down there, chasing the ball on our backs and our receivers get up and they see us, like, that really juices them, lets them know that, we're here, like, let's go, like, let's keep doing this thing. So it's fun.
Yeah, I like that. Enhancing and really harping on it. I like that a lot. So one thing I wanted to ask you about was this sense of maturity. When you think about your body, I mean, you're a big guy. I mean, a very massive, very strong guy, very fast. At what point do you think that you felt like you had control over your body, if that makes sense, where you could make it do what you wanted to and you had control? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would probably say probably this past summer, like, is when I probably really got a grasp on my body. And I'm kind of able to kind of pick and choose, if you will, like what I eat, and still be like, okay, the next day, because it's not like it's fat or kind of weighing on me, if you will, because when I came in, I was like, 355. And then last season, I was kind of hovering around like 305, like 300, I kind of got down pretty low. And like now I'm like 315, 320. Eating, properly, getting the right, fluids, in my body throughout the day. And I mean, I feel really good, in my body and my abilities, and, just being able to utilize, all my God-given, abilities. And yeah, I feel like this, well, I say this spring, this past summer is when I feel like I really got a grasp on it.
And how did that translate to you, like, in the fall camp or like in the actual playing?
I mean, my body, I just feel more fluid. Like, I feel like I have more control over it. And I just feel like I have a lot of confidence in what I can do, just because, I'm more balanced in how I play. My weight distribution and, just my strength overall has increased, even though I've lost weight. It's been created in the lean muscle mass, and I've just gotten stronger. And I feel like I'm still getting stronger in season. So, just improving every day, not like even now, like even though we're in season, like the strongest team in the end is going to be, the people that's blowing dudes off the ball. So even now when we go into the weight room, my nutrition, just what I'm putting in my body, I'm just making sure that it's going to, help me in a positive way, when it comes to those Saturdays.
Yeah, stamina is something that people don't really think about. I was watching the NFL 100, top 100 players, and number one was Jerry Rice, and they were saying,
Yeah.
His whole secret was stamina. 2-minute drill, game on the line. He was feeling fresh, and everyone else
No
was
doubt.
exhausted.
Yeah,
So
no doubt.
when you think about NFL legends, I know we talked about the college football legends that you studied under and learned from. Who are your favorite NFL players? Are you a student of the game?
Yeah. I love watching Trent Williams. I love watching Lane Johnson. I love watching Ronnie, David Bakhtiari, I think is how you say his name.
Mm-hmm.
Tyron, Terrence Steele. He was a rookie last year. I'm trying to think. Teron Armstead. Um, I mean, a lot of those guys, honestly. Kind of some old guys. You got like Joe from the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
You got Larry from the Larry Allen from the Cowboys. I used to love Larry, just his physicality, just his dominance. The way he played the game was just ruthless. I mean, he was just a mauler. He was an animal. Yeah, I love that. Like, just the putting the fear of God into people, and just letting them know that this is 60 minutes of this. So like, get ready. Like, that's kind of the edge he played with, and I love that.
No, that's fantastic because that's a great way to put it, man.
Yeah.
So one of the things before we get into your, what do you want to do post football after, way after you're done? I'm curious because when I talk to someone that's, as accomplished as you are and stuff, I'm always curious to see how people think about goals. So when you thought about when you were a freshman to sophomore, junior, how do you go about goal setting, just in general? I'd be very curious to hear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like freshman year, obviously, like my number one goal is to start. Like, like coming out of high school, everybody's goal is to start. And that did occur, and I ended up, getting hurt. And then Joe took over. Which I love. Like I love Joe. Like I'm extremely happy. That he was able to step in and do what he did, because that's just the band of brothers that we are. Like when one guy goes down, like another guy steps in. So that was like kind of like one of my main goals, going into college, was coming in here and making a big impact early. Now, I would say I have goals. I don't know if I really would want to speak to my goals out loud, but I would say like the ones that I can speak to is I just try and what's the right word? Like increase my potential, if that makes sense. Like I try to better myself more than I was yesterday. Or if I see something I like or I want to use or work into my game, I'll try and work it. And then I really try and enhance my strengths and close the gaps on my weaknesses. And I'm really passionate, about the game. So when I mess up or something's off or something's not right, sometimes I can kind of get frustrated, but it's not I'm not letting it, hinder me. I'm frustrated at myself because I know I'm better than that. I really hold myself to a high standard, and because I know I'm capable of doing a lot of really good things and my potential is through the ceiling. So, when I'm not at that level, it frustrates me, but just kind of some open goals is, just being the best me, being the best teammate that I can be, and then just being at a really high level when my best is needed. Those are kind of just three that sum up all my little ones, but yeah, I would say those are the three prominent ones.
Yeah, individual goals, team goals, and then these fluid goals. I love that. Two last questions. What do you want to do post football after your playing days are over?
Yeah, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, get into kind of the entrepreneurship side of things, or kind of open up my own facility of some sort, kind of open to all athletes, not just football related. And not necessarily just have gyms and weight room and all that type of stuff in there, but more so make it more so of a community area. Kind of like I said, I said I wanted some sports psych, some sports medicine in there. So making it kind of a place of community where maybe we have some therapists in there, and or just some people, some counseling where you can just kind of sit down after your workout, or somebody that you can build a relationship with, where you can kind of work out and then just kind of talk about what you're going through. Somebody that's specialized, in that area where you can get help, mentally, just kind of hash out, or rant, just kind of talk about what you're feeling or what you're going through. And then, just being able to better that, there. And then, like I said, just making it a community space, not just, limited to athletes or football athletes, but, open to everybody, because, I'm a real personal guy. I love relationships. I love, people. And I feel like that, I can have an impact, just, based off of who I am and my outgoingness to help others around me.
Yeah, Center for Longevity. That sounds pretty sweet, man. Like a all-encompassing wellness center. And then finally, when you think about Ohio State, it's a big game. I got to ask you about it. What is your mentality coming into this night game this weekend?
Just stay in the moment, and just win the day. Saturday, get here. But just going into that game, I just want to be dominant. I just want to play at a high level. And this is about doing me, and doing what I do best. And the rest of the workout for itself. And that also includes just being a really good teammate and making sure that I got my brother's back, and that I'm helping my brother. So other than that, it's going to be a dogfight. We know it's going to be a dogfight, but we're ready, and it's just another challenge. And then after that, we're on to the next. It's just week 5, baby. So we got to keep going, man.
I love it. Best of luck to you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, Blake.
No doubt. I appreciate it.
Saturday, the Ohio State Buckeyes are headed to South Bend to take on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in prime time. Here comes Saturday night. What a pleasure it is to talk to that young man, Blake. I really wish him the best, and I cannot wait to watch him dominate this weekend. Thanks to Jason Garrett. Thanks to Blake Fisher. Now we got to play some football. We'll be back next week with takeaways from the Ohio State game and preview Notre Dame's next game, a matchup with top 25 ranked Duke. So be sure to download and subscribe to the Notre Dame on NBC podcast, on the NBC Sports YouTube channel, or wherever you get your audio podcasts. Go Irish.